welcome to another chance for us to have a Bible study together online as we get a chance to fellowship, to study and connect together with each other. I pray that you will take time today to read James chapter 2. I pray you will take some time in just a few moments to post a comment of a verse that is challenging, valuable to you. Even if you're rushed, just write James 2, verse 18, or write out the verse so that we all can read it. Write out the verse and share why that verse is so valuable to you. Take some time to encourage one another. And I encourage you to go to Right Now Media and look at the Bible Project to get the overview of James. They do such a wonderful job of giving us the backstory, the full story, the overall story of what James is really writing about, and it puts it in perspective. Today, I want you to imagine being Jesus' brother. I want you to imagine what that might look like. We see so many times when siblings are in rivalry, in competition, there's some sort of challenge that's going on for the big dog seat within the family. Imagine what it's like to be James as he is growing up and watching Jesus. Imagine what it's like to be James as he is grown up and he's watched Jesus, and Jesus expresses his love in the most ultimate way. How does that transform an individual? How does that transform a family? Well, we see what that looks like as James, the brother of Jesus, writes this beautiful letter and reminder, teaching of what the value is of following after the Master, after God's ways. Do you remember back many years ago when I was a young boy, the movie came out, The Karate Kid, that since has been remade. That tells you how old I am. But the original one, there was this young boy, he's in transition. His mom has taken a new job, now moves to the West Coast. He finds himself being bullied from really no fault of his own, but maybe a little bit of fault of his own. He's now trying to retaliate and push back, defend himself, protect himself. And so he's learning how to do some karate moves. And in walks Mr. Miyagi. He is the apartment complex manager, Mr. Fix-It-All. And he begins this tutelage of young Daniel-san, and begins to show him what real karate means. Not fighting, but defending, a way of having the confidence and the protection that he would need in his life. And Daniel is confused because in his early training, Daniel wanted to learn karate, but he got to paint the fence. I mean, Daniel wanted to learn karate, but he got only instruction on how to sand the floor. Daniel wanted to learn karate, but he only got instruction on how to wax on or wax off from the cars. And there comes this point in the movie where Daniel is so frustrated in what he thought was going to be the way of help and benefit to his life. And now he recognizes that he's only become this cheap labor, this free labor in this man's own garden and lifestyle. And so he protests against the master. He says, "I came to you to learn." And the master says in his own way, "Show me." And he begins to demonstrate how these techniques really were beneficial in learning and providing for his future defense. He didn't see what the master saw. He didn't realize what was going on. And I think the same thing is said for you and me, that we go through the challenges of life. And some of those challenges are God-given. Some of those events are God prepared so that we would grow, that we would stretch, so that we would learn how to paint the fence and be ready for the next real challenge of life. And we get so overwhelmed with the preparation challenge that we don't make it to the real challenge in which God was going to be evident and strong and powerful in that next moment. God, through faith, follows through. He follows through in mercy. God follows through in the balance, in the understanding of life. He gives us the direction, but sometimes we don't understand all that God really is doing. In James chapter 2, verse 12, it says, "Speak and act as those who are going to be judged by the law that gives freedom." Speak and act like those who are going to be judged by the law that gives freedom. I want you to notice that the trials and the challenges that you're facing, the obstacles that you are involved in, the things that you might even see as you're mentoring, as you're leading others, live as such an individual that you are being transformed by the law that God has given to us, the direction, the instruction that is ours. But as we pass that on, as we deal with others, live in such a way that you realize that your new life is such a blessing. It is better than, and it's not something to reprimand, but it's better than. God has a way of providing freedom. God has a way of protecting you from your fears. God has a way of opening doors. God has a way of setting us on the best path. But if we view his instructions, if we view his corrections, if we view his testings and trials as obstacles to be avoided, as moments to shirk back, we miss all that he really has in store for us. James chapter 2 shows us a better way. It continues to lead us. And in this moment, I think we have value to this world that needs to be shared and said. Would you join me this day in reading James 2? Would you join me today in sharing one of those powerful verses? Would you join me today in being a blessing to the world, because we are individuals who live and act like we know we're going to be judged. We know there's a judgment coming. But God's way brings freedom and life abundant. Let's share that blessing. Let's share in that blessing today. Have a great day.